Thanks for tuning in to Proline TV for our NASCAR coverage once again on a Tuesday. Greg DePalma here with CJ Radoon from RotoWire.com as we take a look at a Saturday night race at Richmond, followed by a Saturday night race at Daytona, and then the playoffs begin. How's it going, CJ?
Going all right. Getting ready for finally some Saturday night racing. Been waiting for it all season.
Yeah, it's great timing too. I'm sure they probably. I mean, maybe it was a big coincidence because 2 weeks before the college football season begins, and that really makes things difficult scheduling, and definitely for traffic reasons as far as following the race and so forth. But yeah, it works out perfectly, and especially for a race like Richmond anyway. I mean, at least it's a night race because. I don't even. Richmond used to be 2 races a year.
2 races a year, all the way up through last year. Actually, yeah, this is the first year it's coming back to 1.
Oh, so they went to 2. So they used to be 1 not too long ago.
No, they were always 2. So 2025 is the first year. I'm scrolling back just to see when the last time they had 1 race was. As far as I remember, it's always been 2. 1 really early and then 1 really late.
All right. Well, good, because again, Richmond is not a very exciting racetrack, and 1 is enough. And again, at least it's at night, and there's that. But yeah, 136 races for Richmond all time. So we're going to get into the track, the trends, and all of that, including, of course, going through the odds for the race and our picks. But before we do that, let's put a bow tie on the excitement that took place on Sunday at Watkins Glen. And see, I've been doing this a long time as a handicapper, and it wasn't a big win, but hey, it was a win, and I'm just gonna pick them, as I said, as long as they're just gonna keep popping them out like this. I'm just gonna keep taking my even money SVG. And moving on, and I'm not going to lose. So yeah, it was kind of embarrassing, and it's funny too because he didn't even leave 40 laps in the race, and yet the most important part of the race, which was all designed, they knew what they were doing. What was the final margin, like 11 seconds or something like that from first to second? Just
over 11 seconds.
Yep. So yeah, that was pretty bad. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I was a little bit surprised that Blaney and the team decided to go the route of gobbling up points in the second stage. Not sure why, I guess other than just like we talked about the last road course race when we talked about the drivers that I forget who it was. It might've been Chastain, Reddick, somebody who I think it was Chastain who had 2 top 5 runs on Saturday and then decided, well, we have no chance to win the race anyway. So it's like, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter where these guys are. They just, they know that they're just not going to stand a chance against SVG in these road course races unless maybe they get lucky. Like if there's a late caution and it just happens to be like a green-white checkered type overtime situation, where you can, be in position like Chris Buescher was last year to knock him out of the way, or like Connor Zilisch on Saturday, even though that was a completely different race.
Yeah, not to mention what happened to Connor Zilisch in victory lane afterward, why he wasn't able to compete on Sunday. But yeah, I was wondering about that as well. It was an odd decision because Byron and Bell both stayed out as well. So obviously with winning the stage, you get that bonus points. So that's a good thing. The bonus points that come along with it, that's obviously a good thing. But I also feel like the second stage or the final stage at Watkins Glen was very long. It seemed like perhaps it was longer maybe than some other road courses. I'd have to go back and look, but everybody needed at least one more stop. And the final stage was like exactly double the distance of the first 2 stages. So it was almost like, again, I think if you can't compete with SVG, you give up the stage or the track position and you take the points. But I think were also thinking that it's such a long stage, everybody's got to stop. Again, exactly halfway through, there's not really a whole heck of a lot of differing strategy to do. So unless the cautions come out, which quite honestly, we didn't see any cautions, we just saw one through the entire race. They probably felt like they had to do what they could, which was just, again, take the points, and then everybody was going to fall in line with the same strategy. So they really didn't have a chance anyway.
Yeah, I wonder if the difference between what we saw last year, and we had a bunch of cautions last year, had to do more with it was a playoff race as opposed to where it was on the schedule a few weeks before the playoff. I don't know. In other words, it didn't seem like they were as aggressive. Let's just take our points kind of deal and go home. So I don't know. And we talked about Bowman and Buescher, and they did exactly what we thought they would do.
Yep.
They stood out there in the first at stage, gobbled up the points, and that's all they cared about. And which is why goes back to the whole playoff idea, format idea, which is why if you're against this system, this is the argument for it. Which is we wouldn't want to be in a situation where drivers are just out there gobbling up points and not being aggressive, trying to win races that would guarantee them in the playoffs, that sort of thing. I know it's just one of many back and forths of why you might like it or don't like it. And I'm sure there's a bunch of different ways that we could go down that road and try to make it work for each one of us. But that's one of the things that we are trying to avoid, which I totally understand and get. But yeah, it was boring. It was probably one of the more boring races of the year, and it was another road course on top of it, which I'm glad it's over with. Did you freeze, CJ? CJ's frozen. Or at least he's frozen in a really professional manner. Look at that. How you doing, CJ? Oh, he's gone. I was going to talk to him for about 5 minutes. All right. So while CJ's popping back in, let me go ahead and show you what the deal is with the playoffs. All right. So here is the playoff picture for NASCAR, the Cup Series. Buescher has himself a 34-point cushion on Ryan Preece. So he is in good shape. Doesn't really look like there's any way that Ryan Preece is going to be able to catch him unless he gets a victory. And forget about Kyle Busch or anybody else. So, that's pretty much where we stand. CJ, it's Chris Buescher against Ryan Preece. I guess. I mean, I don't really know if Ryan Preece has a chance other than just like Kyle Busch and the rest of them that you got to win.
Yeah, I think the only person that can clinch their way in this week at Richmond is Tyler Reddick, and he needs, let me just refresh my memory real quick, 30 points in order to do it. So he's the only one in any situation that really has his own destiny in his hands aside from winning. So Reddick theoretically is the only one that can clinch. Buescher extended his lead over Ryan Preece with a good finish at Watkins Glen. So there's a 34-point difference between them. That's still doable, definitely over 2 races, especially when you've got a place like Daytona coming up. And Ryan Preece can be pretty good. Actually, Chris Buescher is a winner at Richmond as well. So it might be a good fight this weekend to see who ends up getting their nose ahead. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to Daytona. Chris Buescher would like to have a better finish at Richmond than Preece and have more points so that he has a bigger cushion going into Daytona should anything happen. But I think Daytona is really going to be the decider as to which of the two make it in. Preece doesn't necessarily have to win. Pretty much everybody else aside from Preece does.
Okay. So he needs a lot of luck, of course. Needs something to happen to Buescher, but with that Daytona race coming, anything's possible, and we'll see what happens at Richmond. Unlikely that anything would happen there, but you never know. All right, so there you go. Not a whole lot of drama going on with a bunch of drivers, but the drama really will be next week when we talk about Daytona. All right, so let's now talk about Richmond. Once again, it'll be a Saturday night race, which means I will be on the air Friday night for the starting lineup report. Should be on sometime around 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And so, again, that's going to be on Friday night. So we have a Richmond racetrack, as CJ mentioned, that has been 2 races per year for a long time, ever, whatever. And looking at the 2 races per year since NextGen in 2022, that would be 6 races. All right. So that gives us 6 races of data. 5 of the 6 winners started outside the top 4 rows, and all 6 started outside the top 2 rows. And if you look at it, going back the last 15 winners at Richmond, they all started outside the front row. So that included starting spots of 24th, 26th, and 32nd. The last time a front row winner won at Richmond was the pole by Denny Hamlin in 2016. And there are no manufacturer edges as far as wins over the last 9 races. Each manufacturer has won 3 times. But looking last year, and I'll get into more specifics regarding the next gen 6 races, if there are any major differences on Friday night's report. But just looking at last year, CJ, a big advantage for Chevy and Toyota. Ford did not have a good go for it, a good run last year. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on that over the previous 2 years. But as far as last year was concerned, it was not a good year for Ford. What do you think about all of that? I think the thing that sticks out to me is that even though it's a shorter track, starting position just does not matter.
Yeah, which is surprising for a short track. When you think short track, you think track position, but really it comes down to track position at the end. There are generally a lot of cautions, and honestly, 4 tires might be better than track position as well, because you're able to make up a lot of ground really quickly if you've got more grip, being able to go through the turns. Richmond, I did look back. The last time we had a single race in the season at Richmond was 1958.
Oh, okay.
So it's been 2 races a year since 1959. But yeah, talking about last year in terms of Chevrolet and Toyota, for me, it was Toyota, and specifically the Joe Gibbs Toyotas. It was Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin that led over 100 laps each. Daniel Suarez jumped in there with a Chevrolet, and obviously Austin Dillon won it in a Chevrolet. But Dillon didn't even get to the lead. He started inside the top 10 last fall, but he didn't even get into the lead until really the last 50 or so laps. And up until that point, the entire race was dominated by Joe Gibbs Racing in the hands of Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell. So this week, I think it's for sure you're looking at Toyota and Chevrolet. I'd probably give Toyota the advantage. I think maybe in the cooler weather is generally when we see the Fords. So maybe we look at the spring races to see where the Fords are able to really compete at Richmond. But it seems like this fall race, for whatever reason, unless you get green, white checkers, it seems like the Toyotas and the Chevrolets seem to have the advantage.
Yeah, Chevy, just taking a look at last year, they did have the top 4 drivers to start the race, and they had the fastest car in practice. They had 3 of the top 7 in the race, and it led 149 laps. This was the March race. And in August, they had 2 of the top 6 in qualifying, 3 of the top 6 plus the fastest in practice, and more importantly, 8 of the top 13 plus the winner, leading 152 laps in the race. But yeah, I agree. It's Toyota, Chevy, Ford, but Ford is way back, and that's just last year though. And it is of course the most recent, and anything could change as we saw just even at, what was it Iowa, we saw that Toyota was like really bad, but they competed in the race. So yeah, anything could change. Okay, let's now get ready for the odds. And what do you think about the favorite? Is this an easy favorite?
I think so. I think it's Denny Hamlin.
Okay. What do you think the number is?
450.
Denny Hamlin. 450.
I was wrong.
That was a good one. 4-1. Denny Hamlin. Not a bad price.
That's a good
price, actually, to tell you the truth. Believe it or not. Because I think if that was, I really think if it was Larson, he'd probably be a little less than that, maybe 350 or something.
Yeah, if Larson were the favorite, he'd probably be 3-1,
Yeah.
350 range.
Who's second choice?
Probably Larson.
This is a bit of a surprise to me.
I could see
that. Only because of this. And I get what he did in the race last year and his Toyota, and I get that. But where I'm against that is history. All right, there's two reasons to go with Christopher Bell. What he did last year, it's Toyota. And then if you look at his Xfinity Series history, he's got 3 wins and 5 appearances leading over 450 laps. Okay. But on the, and also his average starting position is 17.6. His average finish is 7.3. But on the other side, he has never won a race and it's 4-1. So I can't put him that close to Denny Hamlin. I just can't. Now, if you want to put Bell at 450, then it should be 2-1 Denny Hamlin. There's no way Denny Hamlin should be close to anybody here in my mind. I mean, Hamlin has 20 career top 5s, 5 wins. He's led over 2,300 laps. He's got 2 NextGen wins. Matter of fact, in his last 8 races, 7 of them are in the top 4 with 4 runner-ups and 2 wins. He's led at least 17 or more laps in 8 of his last 9 races. I'm sorry, there's nobody's competing with this, not even close. So no, I don't think Christopher Bell should be anywhere near Denny Hamlin, which is a good thing, I think, for Denny Hamlin. I think this is a good number. This is one of those weeks I'm fine with taking Denny Hamlin at 4-1.
Yeah, and Hamlin finished first or second in all of the last 3 Richmond races, so he's on quite a streak. And in comparison with Bell, you're correct that Bell's really stood out kind of in Xfinity and at this race in the fall last year. A lot of top 10s, 7 top 10s from 9 career starts, but his qualifying isn't very good. His average start is 17.6, his average finish is 7.3. Whereas Hamlin, much more consistently starting inside the top 10. Hamlin's average start is actually 9th over 36 career starts, and his average finish is 8.1. That's 36 times that he's raced here, and his average, both starting and finishing, are inside the top 10. Absolutely blowing away Christopher Bell's numbers. So to be able to get, if they're the same price, give me Hamlin all day, every day. I agree. Bell should be significantly behind. I don't know if it's 7 or 8, but definitely not basically equal to Hamlin at this point.
Yeah, I'd have to check and see if there's actually a Denny Hamlin versus Christopher Bell matchup. Because if there is and it's reasonable, then I would take that if you're into matchups. Okay, let's go with the next grouping. And there's your Kyle Larson. There's Byron and then 2 Fords. So we have 2 Chevys, we have 2 Toyotas, 2 Chevys, 2 Fords, which is actually kind of perfect if you think about it. We talked about it's Toyota, it's Chevy, it's Ford. So very interesting. And I have to say, out of these 4, I would go with Logano because I can't take Larson right now. I know he had one more road course left. I'm sure he just can't wait for the road course season to end. It has been a nightmare for him this year. But in general, he's just still not nowhere near where he was earlier this year. Just a couple of months ago, wasn't it right around the Indianapolis race where things just changed all of a sudden? It's sort of like when you ever notice, like when you're when players, especially hitters, home run hitters, go to like the home run contest and they come out of it and they usually go like on some slump. I don't know why, but they just do. That's like what it is. It's like there was so much momentum built up for Larson that day. And ever since then, it just hasn't been the same. He's been very inconsistent. And why would I take him at this point? Even though he's got a couple of wins, he does have a next gen win. And if you look at it, That was a race where he had 200. Actually, if you look at it, in the first 14 races of his career, pre-NextGen, he only led 81 laps, but he's led 265 laps with NextGen. And then you have Byron, who I don't know why Byron's odds are right next to Larson's. I mean, Larson is clearly better than Byron. Byron has one top 5 in 13 races at Richmond. And his average start is 10th. His average finish is 15th. So he goes the opposite direction too. But Logano, he has 14 top 5s and 2 wins, none in NextGen so far. But he's been really good here over his career. And he's been solid even in NextGen. I see no major differences that make me go, he's just awful at NextGen. I don't like 9-1. But I take him over Byron. And Blaney is being overpriced again because it's been Blaney. I mean, Blaney's been overpriced in a lot of his races this year. He's never had a top 5 at this track. And he has gotten better lately in his last 8 races. He does have 5 times he's finished 11th or better. So he's done better than that. And he was very consistent even in the Xfinity Series, even though he never had a lap in the Xfinity Series. But 11-1 is just not enough. I mean, Ryan Blaney should be like 15, 16, that kind of range. And then I still need to see how he does, even though this is one of those weeks that you have to really strategize regarding whether you take the bet now or wait, because you might be better off waiting until Friday after qualifying and practice and hoping the driver you like does not qualify well, because it doesn't matter at Richmond, and maybe the odds will be in your favor. So anyway, out of this group, Logano, I would think about. I don't like the 9-1 though, and I probably wouldn't even bother with any of these other drivers right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Larson needs to come out of his slump. He's just not. Things aren't clicking. He's got to get it together pretty quickly before the playoffs come. We've seen him be really hot and we've seen him be really cold at the same time, but this slump has been going on for quite a bit where he's not been around. And the weekend at Watkins Glen early exit was just terrible. Like you said, yeah, it's a road course, but he's been bad on road courses all season. But again, it's playoffs are now 3 races away. He's got to start picking it up, and I'm just not seeing it. So Larson, I would probably avoid. Byron doesn't have much going on here. Like you said, just the one top 5. He finished inside the top 10 in the spring race last year, but he started 13th and finished 13th in the fall race, which he hasn't led any laps at Richmond for the last 3 races. So just not the consistent performer that you would want there. Whereas Logano has been very consistent, and throughout his entire career, he doesn't have the stats certainly that Denny Hamlin does, but he's a 2-time winner. He's got 14 top 5s, 19 top 10s out of 31 starts. And even since the NextGen car came out, he's got 5 top 10s, including a runner-up finish in the spring race last year. So I do think I agree with you that Logano would be the one that I would choose. Blaney, not great at this track, a couple of top 10s. Logano head and shoulders, but agree. I think 9 is a little bit too low of odds for me to take him this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I was getting Blaney at 15, I would consider him because he's in a nice run again. He's got 4 straight top 10s for things, and we saw what happened last week on the pole at Watkins Glen. That was crazy, but he had a good car, and so he's had a good car lately, and he's in a nice groove. But 11-1, it's a little bit too short for me. Okay, let's take a look at the next group, and here we go. So out of this group, Buescher would be the one that I would look at. Elliott, he has started 4th, 2nd, and 4th in his last 3 races. His best finish out of those 3 races, just 5th. He's only had 105 laps led in 17 races. 6 top 5s is nice. And he has done better finishing than starting, so that's nice. But I'm just not feeling it. The only thing that's good is the 18-1. Briscoe, I would look at. I mean, he's got the Toyota, and he's Truex. We know how good Martin Truex Jr. was here. So that's got to be an edge because you don't want to take a look at Chase Briscoe's numbers on his own before this year because they're pretty bad. Chastain has been okay. He's got some good things. But I don't know. I mean, other than 22-1, I don't know if I'm really interested. He has started 3 times in the top 5 in his last 5, and he's led 96 laps during those races with 2 top 5s in his last 4. But Buescher, I don't know if it really is that big of a deal with like, is it? I mean, I know for a fact that's not a big deal with the whole way that you have to decide if you're going to gobble up points at the end of stages at Richmond compared to Watkins Glen. That's completely different. So I don't have to worry about that. He's just going to go out there and it's not Daytona. He's going to go out there and he's going to race this race like a regular race. And if I can win this race and put all the other stuff behind me in Daytona next week, I'm going to do that. And even though he got up to an awful career start here with 1 top 20 in his first 11 without leading a lap, since the NextGen, he's got 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s. He's got a win, and that was in 2023. And in that race, he led 80 laps from the 26th position. And he's also, by the way, never started in the top 5. But as we know, CJ, Chris Buescher is one of those drivers that can start 15, 20, 25. It doesn't matter. He can win races from back there. This is proof right here. And I think at 20-1, he might be one of the better long shot plays.
Totally agree. If I'm looking at the numbers alone specific to Richmond, out of this group, Buescher would be my choice. He obviously won the race from 26th spot in 2023, as you said, finished 9th in the spring race last year. So he's been pretty good, and especially recently, 2 top 5s out of the last 5, specifically at Richmond as well. So I think Buescher definitely carries the water here. Chase Elliott's been pretty good, but he's also kind of now in a slump. Watkins Glen was the first time he finished outside the top 20 all season. It was not a good race for him, and we would have expected a road course to be bread and butter for Chase Elliott, and it was just not a good day. So I'm wondering what's going on with that team. A little bit nervous about choosing him this week for sure. But if it's just Ross Chastain's inconsistent here, so I'm not going to look at him either. But I think from a gut feel perspective, from a numbers perspective, it's Chris Buescher. From a gut feel perspective, I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe because of what you said about Truex, from what I said about Joe Gibbs Racing being so strong at Richmond. Chase Briscoe has 3 runner-up finishes out of the last 5 races, 4 top 5s out of the last 5 races. And one of those runner-up finishes was at Iowa, which, by the way, is the closest track that we've run so far to Richmond. So I think Chase Briscoe, with all of that combination, he's really hot right now. He's got great equipment. Joe Gibbs Racing knows Richmond really well. This could be a week for Chase Briscoe.
I absolutely agree. All right, next up. Okay, so out of this group, I don't like to see the numbers starting to come down in Keselowski at 22. He was 25 earlier today, so already he's being bet down because he's definitely my choice here once again. Historically, he's been strong here with a couple of wins, led over 1,000 laps. And even NextGen, he's been okay. NextGen, he's been 16th or better with 3 top 10s. So he's been, let's see. Overall, obviously that's 6 out of 6, 16th or better, 3 top 10s, led 102 laps in the August race of 2023. And he has not had a top 5 starting position since his pole in 2019. So keep that in mind. I'm sure we'll update that on Friday. But yeah, I mean, again, they're just, I know what happened at Watkins Glen. That's not a good track for him. They had that altercation with Carson Hocevar. Maybe that did impact his qualifying run. Who knows? But the fact is that I think they're going to get right back on it this weekend next. And he's got 2 more chances to get in. And I think, and I'm just going to bet him the next 2 weeks. I think they've got a shot. They're long shot odds. So, I'm just going to go for it the next couple of weeks and hope it pays out. As far as the other drivers here, I don't really see anything else except Kyle Busch, because again, Kyle historically has just been fantastic here with 6 wins out of 38 races. And even with RCR, he does have a top 5. and he actually even started 2 races from the front row out of the 4 with RCR, but he's only led 2 laps with NextGen, and that's from a driver who's led over 1,500 laps in his career at this track. But it's Kyle Busch, it's Richmond, there's desperation, and he's 28-1. Now, if he was 15-1, being overpriced like some of the other races, 18-1, I would balk a little bit, but we're back now at a price where all right, maybe I'll consider him as a long shot.
Yeah, I think Busch is definitely worth considering as a long shot at Richmond. I mean, I never thought in my life I'd be saying that, considering he's won 6 times, 19 top 5s, 28 top 10s. So an extremely good record. And really, it was only last year that he kind of stumbled at Richmond. Like you said, he's qualified on the front row for both races in 2023. Those were both with RCR, ended up finishing 3rd in the fall race. But for whatever reason, last year was just a little bit off. And like you said, also hasn't been leading laps. So a little bit questionable, but definitely worth going for a long shot. Gibbs, just 1 top 10 here, not really doing much. So, unless for whatever reason, some of that Joe Gibbs racing luck is able to brush off onto his car this weekend, but it hasn't yet. I mean, he's been racing here for 2 seasons now, and that luck hasn't washed out over him yet at this track. So I wonder if it's ever going to. And then Tyler Reddick, 10th and 3rd last year, which is pretty good. However, I think Tyler Reddick's got his eye on clinching that playoff spot. Like I said at the beginning, he's the only one that has his destiny in his hands this week. So he's going to be looking for stage points, wrap up those 30 points early, and then kind of let the chips fall where they may for the rest of the race. But I agree. I think Keselowski, his consistency here over many, many years, 30 career starts, 2 wins, 6 top 5s, 15 top 10s. I think that's all really great for Keselowski, and 3 out of his last 4 Richmond races were top 10 finishes as well.
Yeah, Reddick is not the worst long shot idea in the world. I just think there are better options that we've already gone through, because he's 25-1, and he did have a 3rd place finish at August, which was his best finish. And he was on the pole in a race in August of 2023 when he led 81 laps. He's only led 89 in his career there. But like you said, I think the other thing that would have bothers me a little bit is he just still hasn't been consistent enough for a couple of months now. And he's probably going to be, unlike Buescher, who really would just like to win and get it over with, Reddick, it just needs to stay out of trouble. That's all he has to do. It's just not doing anything stupid, and he's fine. And he's going to get to the postseason. So I don't know if he's really going to be really that focused on a win as much as even Buescher. But again, not the worst long shot idea in the world. Okay. And Gibbs, by the way, very surprising. His average start is 11.4, finish 19.6. And this is a driver that had a win in the Xfinity Series, leading 181 laps combined in 2 races, which again is just proof. Sometimes your Xfinity Series success does not necessarily move over to the Cup. So as much as you would hope that it will eventually, I think it will for Christopher Bell, because of that 3 wins and everything we talked about. A big difference when you're talking when you're looking at someone at 4-1, though, as we said, as opposed to where I think the number should be. But yeah, I'm actually surprised Gibbs hasn't been better here. Yeah, and he's got a Toyota, like you said, and all of that. So I don't know. It's not looking good for Gibbs now. Just got off to too late of a start. Okay, because I don't even think we would consider Gibbs next week. He's not like this super speedway kind of guy, as far as I remember.
Yeah, he was fine in the Xfinity Series, but again, it's not translating to the super speedways, and Ford has been the dominant on super speedways this year. Toyota has not been able to push and connect as much as the Fords, or as well as the Fords. So unless something chaotic really happens and he's able to make his way through, he's not a bad super speedway racer. I just think Fords are better than him and Joe Gibbs at this point.
All right. So we'll see. Maybe Gibbs will have a good Friday, and we'll talk about it on Friday night. All right. Now, as far as this group here, nobody really sticks out. I mean, Josh Berry has been pretty decent here. He's been in the top 15, all 3 of his appearances in the Cup, including 2nd. And that was from the 30th position. And you're getting 35-1. Dillon is coming off the win in August. And then also Wallace, not interested in Wallace. And Hocevar, I guess the good thing with Hocevar is he's had 2 races here, and he did finish 8th in August, and his best qualifying run is 19th.
Yeah, it's tough to choose one out of this. Honestly, if I were to choose anyone, it probably would be Wallace, and it's not because of his stats at this track. It's because of what he's done recently. He's been top 10 every single week, including his win at Indianapolis. So we talk about gaining momentum and being at top form as the playoffs arrive, and it's all about the right timing of doing that. And Wallace seems to be doing that right now, maybe a little bit too early. We'll see how far he's able to carry that on, but I think that might translate to another top 10. Do I think he's going to win? Probably not. But out of the bunch that you've got on the page here, I don't think Austin Dillon's going to go back to back at Richmond. I think that would be pretty unlikely. It'd be a shock for Hocevar to win. I think Hocevar is more somebody we talk about from a long shot perspective, maybe when we get to Daytona next week. Same thing.
By the way, which tracks do you think are the most comparable? I know there's only 2 other short tracks, Bristol and Martinsville. Martinsville's flat like Richmond. Iowa's also flat. That's considered a potential similar track, and Phoenix too. So if you had to pick like 1 or 2 tracks, if that, which other races would you say that the viewers should be keeping an eye on?
Definitely Iowa, first and foremost. It's a short track. It was modeled after Richmond. It's not the exact same, but it's probably as close as you can get. And Wallace finished 6th there. That was one of the top 10s of the last 4 that he's had. Probably after that, part of Phoenix is like that, but Phoenix is a mile longer, or it's a mile long, and it is longer. So 25% longer if you're actually doing the math on that. So maybe I'd look more like a Martinsville, even though that's completely different because of it's just super flat and really hard braking into the turns. But I'd probably Iowa, definitely the top, maybe the second I'd put Martinsville to look at, but certainly aim more weighting toward Iowa.
Okay. Now taking a look at the next grouping here, and the only one that stands out for me is actually Ryan Preece. And the only reason for that is because he's on a new team, and Keselowski's had a lot of success here. We just talked about Buescher being a good long shot. So why not? Ryan Preece, 55-1, you're getting a big number. He's never had a good history here with his other team. But, he's one of these drivers that, if you look at it, let's see, I think it's been since Nashville, I believe. Yes, Nashville, that he has finished in the top 20, and that was the only race, one of those races since Nashville. He finished outside the top 15. Everything else is in the top 15. That shows you how consistent Preece has been over the last several months. But he's got to get a win, it looks like, more than likely. But I think he's a pretty decent long shot because I think there's a lot of unknown there, and I could see him doing well. So why not?
Yeah, and I'm trying to decide what I want to say about Suarez, because I think he should be in the conversation only because of his 93 laps that he led in the fall race last year, ended up finishing 10th despite starting 21st. However, he only has 3 other top 10 finishes. Those were quite a while ago. Those were all back in the old car prior to the new generation. So the reason I want to include Suarez into the conversation is because he finally turned things around last week at Watkins Glen. So he finally had a good result. We know he's not coming back to Trackhouse Racing next year. He's kind of auditioning, but things haven't been going well since that announcement came out. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of confidence and momentum come back for him for this week at Watkins Glen. But if I were, just choosing, Ryan Preece out of this bunch would certainly be the one that I would choose, despite the fact that Alex Bowman even has the win here. I just think Ryan Preece, like you said, with everything that he's doing with this new team, playoff position within reach, unlike Buescher and Reddick, and Bowman. I think Priest might be swinging for the fence a little bit more, actually going for the race win, whereas the other guys might be more focused in on the points battle. Plus, Priest did have a top 5 here in the fall race of 2023 when he was still with Stuart Haas. So he has had some success here, and I think this year we're seeing a completely different Ryan Priest. So why not at Richmond, at a place where, again, like you said, his teammates have been really good as well.
And he finished 5th at Iowa, so that's nice. And of course, he doesn't have, that was his first trip there with the new team. Yeah, Bowman, I just didn't go with, even at 45-1 with the win, because in typical Bowman fashion, he led 10 laps to win that race. And he's got an average finish here of 19.2 with a win. So that's not very good. He does have 3 top 5 starts in the next gen, but it just hasn't translated for Bowman. So yeah, it's all about for Bowman anyway at this point. Just I don't know, looking forward, I guess, because overall he's still doing, I think, just what he needs to do. I think he's been a lot better to stage than early in the season. And so if he can get hot, he could be somebody to keep an eye on, but only as a long shot, as we've said before. Okay. And then the rest, nobody sticks out for me. Anybody stick out for you?
No, the only name I will call out, though, is Corey Heim. He was a little bit further up. There he is. He's been doing so great in the Truck Series this year, just blowing everybody away. He's been dominant, winning tons of races. His time is coming up. He's going to be moving up, I'm sure of it, with that kind of success. This is obviously one of the handful of chances he'll get to audition in the Cup car this year. Plus, he's just been red hot, so no reason to think that Corey Heim can't come in, be, from a fantasy perspective, be a top 20, top 15 with a low price there. Probably wouldn't bet on him. I don't think he's going to win. It's just really hard to come in on a part-time deal and win one of these races, especially at a place like Richmond. But if you're talking from a fantasy perspective, Corey Heim might be one to round out your rosters with. And
will he be with Cup next year?
Nothing yet. I'm just speculating based on how much success he's been having and how good he is, that he's going to find his way up the ladder pretty soon.
Okay. All right. So you are going to open things up with picks. So what you going to do?
I take the obvious choice since it's my first one. You did it last week. I'll do it this week. Hamlin.
Why not, right?
Absolutely.
Winning's better than losing.
Especially at 4-1. It could have been lower. Yes. I think Larson, it would have been 3-1, maybe even lower. I'm surprised Hamlin, at a place like Richmond, where he's been so successful and so good recently, is still at 4.
Okay. I'm actually going to do a little bit of, I'm going to gamble here a little bit on this race, because like you, I'm going to take Hamlin. I'm going to do the same strategy I did last week. I'm going with the favorite, and I'm going to sprinkle some long shots. So since you've grabbed Hamlin, I'm going to just start with the long shots and take Chris Buescher as my top pick.
Oh, really interesting. That makes my next pick quite hard. Actually, no, it doesn't. Because I was looking at Richmond numbers and I forgot about where we currently are in the season. So I will go with Chase Briscoe as my second choice.
Okay. And I will go back to Keselowski. Second choice. RFK.
I don't dislike it, because I'm going to go RFK to round mine off with Ryan Preece.
And I guess I'll go ahead and take Kyle, since I don't really like any deep long shots. The deepest long shot I like is Preece, so I'll take Kyle. All right, so there you go. That is the way it looks now for Richmond, and we only have one more after this before the playoffs. These are the championship odds, in case you're interested. Let's see. Elliott is still 8-1. And then a big gap here. Shane Van Gisbergen, 20-1.
It's hard to believe that he's equal with Chase Briscoe.
How ridiculous is that?
The majority are ovals. Chase Briscoe is really, really hot. Yes, Van Gisbergen has wins. He's probably got one more win in him with another road course, but there's no way that he can make it all the way to Phoenix and win the championship.
No. Busher, maybe 40. And I'd probably even throw like a buck or two on Keselowski, because if he can get in.
If Keselowski can get in, I think he can figure out a way to advance.
I
do think Busher will get in, so that's not a bad number. Plus, he has a habit of winning a handful of races each year, and that's all you need in the playoffs.
Yeah, so a couple of RFK driver long shots may not be a bad idea. Okay, don't forget Friday night. That's for the starting lineup report. It's also the same day that your DFS RotoWire report will be out, the best bets report for the race as well, correct?
That is correct, rotowire.com, and we'll have the link for it in the video as well.
So check out Friday. Also look out for, I think now we're going to be posting Kevin's video, probably going to post it on, well, it all depends on when he has it ready, since it's a short week this week, maybe Friday. If not, definitely race day. So look out for Kevin's video as well. I'll see you guys on Friday night. And then we're going to do this again next Tuesday as we talk about Daytona, the final race. And then we'll only be a few days away, weather permitting. And by the way, I'll give a weather update on Friday night regarding Daytona. Fingers crossed that we'll be able to get the race off, because CJ will be not available on Saturday, on Sunday for almost 2 weeks, actually. So still got to figure out what our schedule plans are going to be for the Tuesday show. So I'm still going to have to debate that and think about that. But that means for 2 weeks, CJ will not be around. And so it'll just be me. And we'll figure something out. But hopefully that'll be a good sending away CJ to Australia present, if we can get that post-race, which actually isn't post-race. It'll be 30 minutes before we think the race is going to end. We'll be coming on live Saturday night for Daytona, and fingers crossed, weather permitting. So CJ, appreciate the time as always. And when are we talking F1 again?
Oh gosh, we've got another 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see here.
Oh, that's right, because you're going away though.
Yeah, I'll be gone for Netherlands comes back. That's one of the weekends I'll be in Australia. So that's the weekend of August 31st will be that race in Holland. And then Italy is the week after that for Monza. So we'll get something up. We should be able to do a preview for Holland. Nothing's going on in Formula One.
That's true. I'm sure they got the odds probably already.
They might even have those up. So yeah, we can do a preview before I head off.
They do. So the races are ready. Yeah. So we'll do another preview of the Dutch race before CJ leaves, and then and then he'll be back for Bristol. Correct?
Exactly right. Yep.
And Bristol, we used to get excited for Bristol, but boy, they've really screwed that one up.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
Yep. We certainly hope that they're going to figure. Well, they're talking about more horsepower for next year, right?
Yes.
Not sure that's going to work, but at least they'll try it.
It's something. I think a combination of more horsepower and, again, something with the tires, something to make the tires fall off quicker is really what they've got to aim for. That's about the only way that you can bring the pack.
How come they never talk about that as much? They always talk about the car, the equipment of the car, the horsepower, but they don't get into tires enough.
I wish I knew. I don't know. I agree with you completely. I think it's all in the tires. At least with this car, it's all in the tires.
Yeah, well, at least they're thinking about it. It's funny because they had something, I heard it, and they go, but it probably wouldn't be ready until 2026. And I was like, 2026? Yep. That's next year. That's fine. Yep. I didn't expect them to do anything this season. I mean, so good. I don't have to wait 2 years for them to make a move to make. And again, we don't know if it'll work, but try something, and then hopefully you never know. Because you think they'll try something, which they will, one of the tracks it should benefit, or maybe two. So now, good, it could take away from another track or two, but that's the thing I guess they're gonna have to figure out, because you don't want them to screw around with like Homestead, especially. Don't want to screw around with that track. But yeah, that's the thing to be cognizant about.
They've got it going right with Homestead. My biggest fear for a place like Bristol with the extra horsepower is it forces more precision on the setup of the car and the handling, which I fear could make it more processional. Whereas if you affect the tires and the tires fall off faster, then you're going to have natural movement versus, whoever's best on the setup, which is going to be your big teams. And then they're just going to run away from everybody with the extra horsepower. So we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully something works, but yeah, don't mess with Homestead, please.
Thanks, TJ. See you next week.